So this is using information from a slope intercept. Okay, and identifying slope, so in this case 3 over or 3, and then looking at some multiple choice answers and finding which one is perpendicular. Now if the slope is 3 for this line, you're looking for something perpendicular, you're going to flip and change the sign. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm evaluating these 4 choices, and I'm evaluating these 4 choices and seeing which one is going to give me a slope of -1/3. So let me look at A. So basically, I'm looking to just get y by itself, ultimately, in each of these. The slope really doesn't matter as much, because we're just evaluating slope here. So I get negative y is equal to negative 3x minus 4. If I change the signs, because I can't leave y negative, okay, I'm left with a positive 3 slope here. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's take a look at answer choice B here. X plus 3y is equal to 3. I'm going to subtract the x from both sides, and I get 3y is equal to negative x plus 3. You're going to get y by itself and divide by 3. And here you see it gives me y is equal to negative. Now if there's not a number in front of x, we could say it's a 1. Negative 1/3 x plus 1. Here I have the slope, and what I'm looking for in answer choice B, I have that negative 1/3 slope here. I could go forward and just maybe look at another example of what wouldn't work. For instance, this right here, I'm adding 3x to both sides. So I get y is equal to 3x plus 3. Here the slope doesn't match up because this was 3 again here. Let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, it's important to recognize they're saying not parallel. So in this case, my slope is negative 5, the number next to x. Now, any of these lines, A, B, C, or D, that gives me anything that is not negative 5, or negative 5 over 1, or negative 10 over 2, these are all slopes that I could consider equal. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at A. Y plus 5x equals 2. I'm subtracting 5x from both sides. When I'm just moving something in algebra, I'm just doing an inverse. That's a match, so we're good there. Let's take a look at B. This was a little tricky because you end up adding the 5x, and you say, oh, that's going to work out. I got the positive 5x. But don't forget you're changing signs because this y is negative here. So actually the sign changes. This becomes a positive, this is a negative, and this is a negative. So that's another match. Take a look at C. Negative 5x minus x. Negative 5y minus x. I think this is going to be our match here because I'm going to add x to both sides. Negative 5y is equal to positive x plus 4. You end up dividing by negative 5. And you see here, we don't have a match, negative 1/5 x. This is the one that's not parallel. The reason I brought up this fraction here, though, is because if you look at answer choice D, you get negative 10x minus 2y is equal to 4. And you add the 10x to both sides, and you get negative 2y is equal to negative or positive 10x plus 4. And you divide by 2, you divide by 2. You would end up with that, divide by negative 2. You would end up with that negative 10 over 2x. Now some students may look at that and say, oh, this is not a match to my negative 5 or my negative 5 over 1. But if you reduce this, it would reduce to a negative 5 over 1. So this would be a match as well. Now you could get a question where they give you a set of 3 different lines, and basically you're looking for a match of slope. So again, a lot of this is just looking at line 1 and getting that y by itself. So what do I need to do in order to do that? Well, I just need to subtract the 32 from both sides. 32x and get negative 24y is equal to negative 32x plus 3. Divide everything by so you might have to actually do some reducing here. I'm just evaluating the slope, so I'm really just going to look at this. Negative is a positive. I know the biggest number that goes into both of these is 8. 8 goes in 4 times. So my slope for line 1 is 4 over 3. Let's take a look at line 2. 24y plus 32x equals 3. And then let's always want to move the x first. We're trying to get y by itself, obviously, so we're going to move an x equals negative 32 x plus 3. I'm almost certain this isn't going to be a match because I have a negative and a positive here, so I could, but let's take it all the way through and make this a negative 4 over 3 for my slope. I've reduced that by dividing by 8. That's how I got to the negative 4 over 3. And then the last one, 3y is equal to 4x plus 3. This one has a few less steps in it. I'm just dividing by the 3. I get y is equal to 4/3 x plus 1. And I see I have a match in slope here from my lines 1 and 3. I would want to answer choice C. Now, if this ended up being a totally different slope, maybe m is equal to negative 3 over 4, and I didn't have a match with all 3 slopes, then maybe I can look as, maybe this being my answer. But I did have a match with these two, so I'll say 1 and 3 is